Brothers, today we mark a more formal invitation for one of us to go deeper in your life of faith. Not just as a faithful Christian, but as a man called by the Lord. Just about a year ago, before you affirmed, before the church gathered, a commitment to go deeper in your faith, to go a step beyond what society normally expects you, as a Christian man, you spent time together with others going further in that formation of faith, going past the essentials of the faith that even many fail to grasp themselves. Remember that you have been personally called, all of you, including, have been personally called by the Lord to follow him, to grow deeper in the faith. And none of us here is called to do it alone, much less you. One of the hallmarks of the agrupación, as you can see with the presence of so many agrupados here tonight, is that there's the commitment to go deeper in the faith is to be done together in a brotherhood. And it represents a lifelong commitment, as you can see, the age of some of our agrupados here. The men that you see gathered here around have known each other for many years and have grown in the faith together over many years. And when we reach deeper in that faith, whether it be through intellectual formation or our pastoral activities, our professional life that we undertake, our social life too, we're not only transformed by the agrupación, but also help to form the agrupación and her members. The Marian congregation that you aspire to join today is a community in formation, where together we seek to be the best men for the glory of God. The period of becoming an aspirante signals a more focused phase of your life, of formation. Greater initiative on your part is now expected, just as you take the lead in your life to prepare and enter your profession to a larger degree. Initiative on that part to reach out to the other agrupados, not only those here who are gathered, but those that you know and that you're going to get to know, will help keep together that fellowship, the fellowship that you started with this commitment. Initiative is going to be required even more to focus your formation in the faith to meet the challenges of the world in which you live in, whether it be as a student, and later as a professional, as a husband, as a head of a household. The formed agrupado is not a passive learner who asks questions but then doesn't bother to find out the answer, or rather waits for someone else to figure it out for him. No. The agrupado asks the question, but also finds the answers. And when he finds the answers, he also lets everyone know what he found. The challenge of being an aspirant is echoed in the first reading that we hear today. We are urged as followers of Christ to call the world to conversion, following the example of Jonah. We proclaim the name of Christ in a very open way, a clearly discernible way. And I don't mean to proclaim his name in a way that others might intuit it, might hint at it, or guess it, or figure it out, or not. But to let the name of the Lord resound in what you do, and especially how you speak. To confess the name of the Lord is to leave no doubt about the one you're talking of. You can confess the name of the Lord by either sharing the faith that has been given to you, the faith that we strive to perfect ourselves in. Oh, that's that one word that many of you have already heard me define: perfection, spiritual perfection. I say that's the spiritually incorrect term today. Because we are far from perfect, yes, but perfect in its original sense. See, I also teach Latin, so perfacere, to thoroughly do something. to thoroughly be formed in our spiritual life, in our life of faith. Because when we seek spiritual perfection, we're not really seeking spiritual flawlessness. That doesn't exist. And the something perfect in the original sense doesn't mean it is beautiful or is flawless or has no errors, no scratches. No, it just means it's finished. Something that's finished doesn't need to be changed, added, or amended. And doesn't mean it's going to be the most beautiful or the pristine thing either. Some works will have their scars along the way. We're called, nevertheless, to spiritual perfection. Even though we are less than perfect, we get to lend a hand in perfecting one another. And so share that faith that you have. Don't keep it to yourself. The agrupado is normally known for propagating the faith wherever he goes, especially where he works, among his friends and his family. It's not for nothing that so many agrupados are very active in their parishes and even become the people of reference regarding the faith where they work. So often, the agrupado is the person to which peers go to with a thought or a question. And so the last challenge that we hear in that first reading leaves you to do this, to do his will in what you do. Sometimes we want to fulfill our will first. In the spiritual exercises, which you'll be called to do, St. Ignatius details the different degrees of discipleship. The first degree of discipleship is to be ready to be told what to do and carry it out, to be a faithful soldier. However, there's a second degree of discipleship, when one knows the will of the master, anticipates it, and no longer waits to be ordered. He already knows what to do. And this is maybe the longest and the hardest step. And perhaps here's today where the gospel becomes so relevant for the congregants here. We hear that Jesus tells his disciples that people are always asking for a sign from God. But when the Lord does express himself, the same people that ask for that sign are the first ones to dismiss it and not believe in it. The spiritual exercises are a central point of life in the life of a congregant, because without it, none of us can recognize the sign that the Lord has put in our life. We will be blind and deaf to the ways that he has made himself manifest. And if I cannot notice God around me, then at best, I might be stuck only in that first degree of discipleship. I won't have much to share in the faith. St. Ignatius was a military man and probably knew the principles of commanding troops. And the commander in the field knows that he has to find the time to pull back and consider the big picture on a regular basis. He can't be in the front line the whole time, because if he is, he might get caught in the minute details of the battle that narrow his vision so much that makes him miss all the important movements of the field. The commander needs to have the big picture, or else he starts to micromanage things and gets nowhere. And so you will be expected from now on to make it a yearly habit to make that time to step back and get the big picture in the spiritual exercises that all agrupados throughout the country do. In Atlanta, in DC, even in Puerto Rico, in Miami. The retreat experience, which agrupados do every year for the rest of their lives, is necessary for us to be the men that we want to be and the men that we're called to be. This is our basic training. The open sea of the faith in which we immerse ourselves, just as Jonah immersed himself in that sea. And so we wish you the best in this moment, in this new commitment. And we offer you all our support as we move on forward. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.